Good day, everyone. Well, today's going to be a very special video because we're going to take this recent release from AK Interactive 1972 T2 van, and we're going to take it from start to finish, opening up the box, taking a look at some of these parts right off the bat here. And now let's start with the construction. Construction begins pretty much where you would expect it, and that would be on the lower hull, the chassis, and suspension. There also is an engine that can be seen in the final presentation if you choose to open the rear engine hatch. And during the construction here, I'll go ahead and paint out the interior as well because, well, there's some great views through the large window at the front of the van. And as long as I have some paint loaded up on my airbrush, I'll go ahead and add some base colors to the exterior as well. This is all being done using AK real colors. On some of these smaller details, I'll just go ahead and pull out the markers for those, just add the splash of color that's required, install them, very quick, very easy, no mess, no cleanup, and I'm really able to move along very, very quickly here with the construction. And so goes the back and forth process of painting and constructing here. This happens to be the seats, just add a splash of color here using the AK Generation 3 colors. And then we'll start installing those and we'll be able to finally button this thing up. We've already completed the dashboard. I did that a little bit off camera. And here we are. It's a nice looking little van. I'm going to give this a layer of gloss varnish. Doing that for a couple of reasons. First, because I have so many markings going on, I want some ease of being able to kind of slide them around over the surface and get them in the proper location. And secondly, as you can see, I've had to do quite a bit of masking on this to paint out that trim section there, that little stripe. And I just wanted the tape to adhere to the surface nice and tight and not pull off any of the paint. And now let's take a look at some of the tools that we'll be using. Of course, we start with some clean water. This can be from the tap. I also use my X-Acto knife with a clean blade, maybe a small pair of scissors. These are used to cut the decals away from the backing paper, some tweezers, a clean brush, and perhaps a Q-tip, and then maybe some paper towel to wick off extra moisture. And we'll also be using decal adapter. Let's start off here. First, we take our decal, we've cut it away from the backing paper, close to the decal, cut off any excess, dip it in some water, lay it onto the paper towel, allow the excess moisture to wick off, and in a few minutes, the decal will become separated from the backing film. Once the decal easily slides off the backing film, we can apply it directly onto the model. Slide out the film from behind, and now our decal is on the surface. We can move the decal from left to right or up and down in order to get it to the proper position. With the decal in place, next thing to do is to remove or squeeze out all the excess water and any air bubbles from behind the decals. This decal is ready to go, so first I moisten the surface with water, and then I slide the decal onto the surface, trying to be as accurate and as close to the final destination as possible. The last step is to give it a quick wash with the decal adapter solution to help lock it into place. This is then set aside to dry for a few moments before moving on. One final step, and this is an optional step, totally your preference. This kind of depends on the situation, but that would be the top coat. Now the top coat is there to help protect the decals from any damage, maybe through handling, and it also tends to help unify the decals with the rest of the finish. The real color markers, really quick work of adding the color to the rubber parts of the tire, to the rims. The chrome part to the wheels is done with the chrome pins. So once again, moving back into my comfort zone, I'm going to be using oil paints for the majority of the weather in here. So I'm not going to apply them using a brush. Rather, I'm going to go ahead and use them with the airbrush. So I start out with some thinner in my cup, add just a nice little dollop of the oil colors into the cup. I'm not too concerned about the ratios. I'm more concerned about just how it looks on the surface. So probably about right now you're asking yourself, I wonder why Rick used oil paints instead of, say, enamels or acrylics to add this layer of grime here. Well, maybe twofold. First, I like using oil paints. I'm very comfortable with them. I like the way that I can manipulate them. Secondly, and can do this with enamels as well, but I find them easy to work with after the fact. So in this case, I have my grime everywhere across the model, just a light coat. And now I can use a clean brush moistened with thinner, and I can remove areas very, very easily. I have a long working time here, so I can go around the van once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, clean off certain sections here. I can add some streaks. I can add some buildup here and there, and just start really dialing these colors in to how I want them. And to create these effects, well, I'm going to go back again using the oil paints, but a more traditional application method, applying the paints directly onto the surface, not spraying this time, but using a paintbrush, and then diffusing them back using a clean brush. So in this way, I can just concentrate on localized areas, adding some little buildup dirt and grime, or even some rust effects here and there. So this process just extends around the vehicle once more, or twice more, or 3 times more. Always taking a critical eye to it every once in a while just to see where it might need a little more or even a little less. Can remove the oils very easily along the way here, just to try to get it into balance. And then once you get there, you just have to kind of walk away and say, that's good enough. And we're going to call this one, I think we're going to call it finished. Yep, we are definitely going to call this one finished here. So I hope you've enjoyed this little longer look and the entire process of building this VW T2 van. It's been a great process, a great build for me. I've really enjoyed it. Here are some final photographs. Until the next time, everybody, take care and happy modeling.